What the heck you doing sitting down? Get your butt up and train.
Good! Sir, please, I don't want to hurt you, man. I don't want to hurt you. Stop!
Let's go!
What up, my YouTube people? How'd y'all like that little shooting sequence? So I shot this thing here, and of course it was horrible. Glock 19, this guy right here. Obviously I could shoot it in 3.16 or 06, I don't know what it is. 3 seconds I could shoot 17 rounds out of this one in 3 seconds. I actually could shoot it faster, but for some strange reason, I always get a little short stroke happy. But guess what? I'm not shooting for any type of competition, so I think that's pretty good. If I had to hit a bad guy, smooth him out the way. Actually, let's do a comparison really quick to what I'm talking about today. The Smith & Wesson SD9. This is the home defense package one. Alright, very hard to come by now, but I have my hands on one. We're going to show you guys that the Smith & Wesson SD9 is the same exact size of your Glock 19. Okay? Top, it's about the same thickness. Alright? But it's the same length barrel, everything. Okay? We'll let 19 out the way. So I really don't have to show you guys really too much of a comparison of 17. You know that the 17 barrel is just a tad bit longer. Let's move this guy out the way. Let's go ahead and do a safety check of this firearm. Remove the magazine. Rack slide 3 times. Lock it to the rear. Go ahead and visually and physically inspect it. Alright, let's go ahead and run the slide. Let's talk about the first thing first that I love about this SD9. Okay, first thing first is the front serrations. As you guys see, once I had it locked to the rear, the first thing I wanted to grab were the front serrations here to pull it and release it. Okay, love that. Okay, these guys right here are not too rough, but at the same time they're just good enough for you to put them hands on there and pull back with ease on the front and back. I love that. This is one thing that the M&P does not have, and that the Sigma also lacked. So this middle enterprise gun was kind of a perfect fit for people that wanted something a little extra. Now, the reason I'm bringing this gun to video is because my students always come to me, and a lot of them lack firearms. So what I was trying to do is I was trying to find some firearms that were less expensive, but yet still in what I consider my combat duty ready type guns. This one made it into that category. Now, as you guys all know, if you watched my YouTube video not too long ago, I also purchased a FMK firearm to attempt to put into that category, but when my son was firing on the range and that gun hit the floor, pow, it fired off. And so it fired around without the trigger being squeezed, and as soon as it hit the ground from about 2.5 feet high, it fired around. So that one got X'd out immediately, and you know, just got X'd off the list because it's just too dangerous. I don't want to put it in somebody's hands that's not going to be capable of performing. But let's talk about the SD9. So let's talk about the home defense package, something that you guys can no longer get your hands on unless you find a dealer that has some left over. because they're no longer in production in this blued black model. They call it blued, but it's, you know, it looks black to the human eye. But this blued model is no longer in production. Don't ask me why. I'm saying the same thing in my head, like, this is the best looking gun you guys could have created, you know, besides the M&P, that actually looked great and people actually want to possess this gun. And you guys, first thing y'all do is y'all cancel production on it. Doesn't make any sense. Let me tell you about some things they did with this one that they're not doing with the stainless steel slide. So you get the two-tone now, not this one anymore, unless you can find it on like Arms List, Gun Broker, or just a local guy that's selling them because he had something left over. With the home defense package and with the black model, you got a front and rear steel sights. That was an upgrade. And the front sight only was a night sight. Let you guys see if I can show it on camera. You guys can see that. So anyhow, the front and rear sights very good, and the front sight only is a night sight, and you can kind of see it on camera. Anyhow, another great thing about it is, as you can see, the dovetailed rear sights actually have a component that is flat right here. So if you had to do one-handed manipulations, another thing that I like. And the great thing about it is that this sight is staked down, so this sight won't come loose on you, okay? Which is another problem with most of the Sigma series. If you get sights, you have to glue inside of here because they're so loose going back and forth. But this one, actually, you can screw it down and comes with that front sight. Look at the serrations close up. Really nice. Alright, really nice gun. Another thing I do not like about this gun, right here, okay? Instead of having push pins, they have like roll pins. Alright, something I dislike. You also have a roll pin up here, which is another issue for me, because when I'm ready to dismantle this gun and get it broken down, I want to just be able to go. I don't want to have to push out push pins and all this other craziness. But on this one, you have to. Only push pin is this one right here. But everything else is a roll pin that you have to hit down with a punch pin. Now, some added features of this gun. Unlike my Glocks, you know, where you have the ejector right here, the ejector doesn't come up high enough for you to feel around inside. So what they did create is a round indicator here. Now, if you guys know me, you know I don't like that function, and here's why. I like to train for everything at nighttime, because in the daytime it's easy. I can see everything, but I like to train for everything for nighttime carry. That way, my body responds only to nighttime work and not daytime work. And what I mean by that is that if I'm fighting in daytime, obviously I can see my gun, I know how to fix it. But if I'm training for nighttime, my body is only going to do basically one option. It's only going to stick to one option. It's not going to do multiple options at the same time. So if I train my body to always look down into this chamber at nighttime, that's what I'm going to attempt to do. And the first thing that's going to happen is I'm not going to see it, and I'm going to have to, my brain is going to start functioning to ask itself what next. And it's basically that should have been the first option instead of the second option. Anyhow, move right along. So again, front serrations, really nice to pull the gun back from the front. Obviously not the safest thing to do, but that's how I like to check my gun for clear. So when I'm pulling the gun back to me like this, and I'm making sure the chamber is checked clear, I like to pull from the front. Okay. Another added feature of the home defense package, which I really don't want to talk about because you guys, like I said, it's hard to get your hands on these things, and it's not the same price as the one that I'm actually showing to my students, which is the two-tone model. But let's talk about this real quick. The home defense package does come with this nice LED light that operates off of the tip of your finger. Okay, and it's not an up-down, as you can see. It's just a straight push-in. Okay, it's a straight push-in light, which is very nice. You also have a on switch at the bottom of it that you can operate with your middle finger if you were searching a house or something. Okay, or you can operate with your support index finger. Okay, wouldn't take a whole lot. Obviously, when you're searching around a house or you're going through a house or whatever, the monetary is the best option. Okay, monetary is always the best option. Anyhow, move right along. Let's look at the trigger. So when it comes down to the trigger, trigger is much better than the Sigma series, but not as crisp as the M&P model. So let's take a look at it. Make sure we're clear again. All right. Okay, so it takes a long time to break. Let's look at the reset. Right there. Alright, it's not too bad, but one thing you guys will realize is that on my video, it took me 6 seconds to do all my my 17 round mag dump. And here's why. On my Glock trigger, the break is much quicker and my reset is right there. So being so used to my Glock trigger and the way it operates, it kind of slowed me down when it came to this trigger. And I was doing it, leaving it stock just like it is on purpose, just to see how fast I could run it the first time. Okay? Yes, I still was able to run this gun fast as far as shots are concerned, but not to my extreme capabilities, if that makes any sense to you. But anyhow, so very nice gun. Like I said, same size as the Glock 19. Operates for a right-handed shooter, obviously. Unfortunately, this doesn't have the left-sided things, just like a Glock does not, for it to be operated on the left side. But here's the thing. When it comes to a left-handed shooter, only thing you have to worry about is the magazine release, because you shouldn't be operating the slide stop lever with your thumb anyway, and everything else that happens with the gun can be done with your left hand just like it can be your right hand. Let's break this thing down and show you guys what it looks like inside. Now, this gun looks identical to the Glock on the inside, except for the trigger mechanism and a few other things that are not obviously identical, but similar, yes. So let's break it down. This thing breaks down just like a Glock, or like some people is probably thinking right now, it breaks down just like a SD9. Alright, so first thing you gotta do is obviously make sure it's unloaded and safe to fire. So we do that. Once we fired it, we pull back on the slide just enough to get it off breech, and we pull down on the takedown levers right here on the side of the gun. Once we do that, we let the slide come forward, take it off. Okay? What I'm going to do is go ahead and break down my Glock 17. Just kind of compare for you guys. Alright. On the right here, this one right here, is the Smith & Wesson SD9. And on this side is the Glock. Obviously, my Glock people know what a Glock looks like on the inside, so you know how to make the difference out. But if you look at them, they're very similar. Okay? Very, very similar right next to each other. The Smith & Wesson has a few differences, like right here. The humps are different. But for the most part, the striker blocker, the plunger, it's hard to do it on camera, but the plunger right here is in the same position as the Glock plunger. Okay, so not too much of a big difference, but still very nice. Okay, let's sit that to the side and look at the frame on the inside. Same thing, frame is totally different where it comes to the trigger mechanism. The Smith & Wesson trigger spring is here versus Glock sits back here. Okay, this trigger spring is right there that can actually controls the weight of the pull. Okay, so when you get a trigger set with the Smith & Wesson, you actually change out this trigger here. This trigger spring and the plunger spring here. Okay, and they also like you to change out, the striker spring, which I'm not a big fan of changing out any striker spring whatsoever. But for the most part, guys, that's about it. Now, let me tell you why I chose this firearm. Okay, as far as pricing and everything is concerned for my students. I put things into what I consider a combat ready category. And what I mean by combat ready is something that I do in front of all my advanced classes. First thing I do is I take the gun, I throw it into the gravel, and I kick it around. And people look at me like I'm crazy. Like, what the heck are you doing, man? Why are you tearing up that beautiful gun? So let me tell you something, man. I don't pay for a gun that won't fight for me. Okay? It's almost like taking a monster truck to the monster jam and not being able to tear it up. Okay? They don't take them there and clean them up to make them look pretty. Alright? It's all for the show. At the end of the show, what are they doing? They tear them up. Alright? This weapon, this tool, has to perform for me in extreme conditions. What do you guys see when the monster trucks flip over and they get all mangled up? The driver walks out untouched, unscathed. Why is that? Because the equipment was enough to keep him safe. Alright? When this bad boy runs, I need this bad boy to perform for me in the worst conditions. Therefore, I know it can perform under regular conditions. Alright, so if I throw a little dirt on this bad boy, if I throw this bad boy underwater, if I throw this bad boy in some mud, I need to know that it's going to pull out and it's going to fire. Alright, that's what I consider a combat duty ready gun. Another thing is having enough rounds to fight a firefight. This one holds 16 plus 1. Okay, 16 plus 1. 16 in the mag, 1 in the head, 17 rounds, just like your, it's a mix between the Glock 19 and the Glock 17, because the 19 will give you 15 plus 1, and the 17 gives you 17 plus 1. Alright, so you're one less than the 17 as far as roundage, but you need something that has enough rounds to actually fight a firefight. Okay, now, one thing I do not like about it, that it only comes with 2 magazines, and you guys know any type of normal steel magazine is in the ballpark of $35 and higher. So I don't know how much these bad boys are going to cost me to buy an extra one, but I'm really not concerned with it. But I am, however, concerned with it if my students go out to buy it, or you guys go buy it because you watch this video. Now, let's talk about pricing. So, looking at it from a security or officer standpoint. Okay, I know we got a lot of regular civilians watching this, and you guys won't get the same type of price break. But from an officer standpoint, in the state of Georgia, because I'm not sure how Glock works their law enforcement pricing in other states, but the Glock, brand new, Generation 4, 22, Glock 17, 19, whatever you want to get, as long as it's not a 45 caliber or higher, or something around a larger frame Glock, you're paying $398.20 for this firearm. $398.20 for this firearm. All you have to do is provide proof that you guys are in the security industry, i.e. your work ID or blue card from the state of Georgia. Alright? For this bad boy, everybody can go out and get this pricing. This pricing, brand new, at Academy Sports, and a couple other places I've seen it, is $319.99. Okay? Anybody can buy it. Civilian, security, whoever. So, let's say you don't have the $426 after taxes to buy a Glock. You can go out and buy a $319 Smith & Wesson SD9 after tax, probably about $364, and you just saved yourself what, $60, $70. Alright? And you have a duty capable gun that will fit in all the M&P holsters, all the Sigma holsters. Anything that was made for M&P will technically fit onto this gun, except for the internal parts, because they're made just slightly different. Alright? This also has what we call an Apex trigger kit that you guys can do. Now, I know on my last video I talked about doing a do-it-yourself trigger job on this one, but actually this one doesn't have the same internal parts as the Sigma series. On the Sigma series, you can take out the trigger housing and actually remove one spring, actually remove 2 springs, you get a better trigger pull. This one doesn't have that, which is why I guess it made it just a slightly better than the Sigma series trigger. But for all you technical guys, the trigger is right at about 8 to 9 pounds trigger pull. With the Apex trigger kit, they say they'll give you right at about a 5 to 6 pounds. So it'll basically be the same as a stock Glock trigger when you put the Apex kit on, but it's supposed to make it smoother. But this trigger is actually very, very smooth. I think that's about it. I think I covered it. If you have any questions, just simply ask. Oh, one more thing. They have indentions right here, which I like for this gun, and here's why. I remember the student that I first saw this, the blackened version, that brought this to my class. All right, easiest way for me to train him for proper gripping of the gun was to tell him to, you know, grip the gun in the right hand or your dominant hand the way you would, and what happens with your trigger finger? It sits right into that groove. Let me show you guys the groove real quick. Okay, right there, right here. It's like a stippled groove. Okay, and for your support hand, just take the thumb, touch that, and fall into the space. Put your thumb on there and fall into the space. Let me show you down here. Thumb in here, and just fall into the space. And then you have the grip that you're supposed to have to get a good recoil management and everything else. Also, you know, if you want to operate the flashlight, your finger's right there and it goes back. If you want to operate it by turning it on, fingers down there and it goes back. And that's pretty much it. So, hope you guys enjoyed the video. This is the SD9. You guys gonna see me shoot the gun, or you have been kind of watching me shoot the gun as we have gone throughout the video. But if you got any questions, just ask. You know I love you. I want y'all to always make sure y'all win that goddamn fight, because the fight is not for you, it's for your family that's at home. So make sure you train some more, and train again. Get the heck up off that couch and do something. Alright, get some dry fire practice in. Remember, it's a responsibility. We're going to shoot some slow fire out of this. Just kind of get up on the gun. And we're going to watch the trigger. I'm going to try to do it with one hand so you can see the trigger. You can't see the trigger. Alright. Just so you see how long it takes the gun to break and reset. On the reset, right there. Break. Reset. Break. Reset. There, get it good. Alright, 5 slow fire shots, now for the rapid shots. Stay up with it, Jenny. Ready? Don't get close because you need to see the gun move.
I see it.
Ready?
Yes, sir.
Alright, look at the target.